Will do.
Welcome everybody to May the Fours Be With You, the Right Prescription Live webinar. This training is called How to Get Threes and Fours on English Personal Narratives. If you have a Spanish class or know somebody who does, next week I'll be doing some Spanish webinars. The editing will be on Monday, revising on Tuesday, and that's going to be all reading teachers who have to teach reading in Spanish to students who are not ready to transition to English. That's in 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade. So they could benefit from Monday and Tuesday's training. On Wednesday, we'll be doing expository in Spanish, and Thursday, narrativo personal. So what I wanted you guys to do for me, in the same way that we're going to get our students to do, I'm going to open up my Q&A, and what I would love to know is if you could zoom in on one place. It's not where you go, it's what you do while you're there that makes your stories not only blah, but bling, or too much of a picture instead of a video. So in the Q&A, if you could zoom in on one place and one event that happened in that place, and we'll keep it positive. What was something positive? Because I almost had an accident where I told my car the other day. Somebody ran a stoplight right in front of me. So if they say right about your best day ever, then I would not want to put the day that I had a car wreck or almost had a car wreck. So in the Q&A, go ahead and write for me the P and the E of what I call PEPE, the place that you were at, and GPS means get pretty specific. And the one event, what was some positive event? And it doesn't matter if that event took 10 minutes or 10 hours. Hopefully it didn't take 10 days. Zoom in instead of all 3 months of your summer, instead of a whole month, instead of even a whole week, zoom in on one day or one experience in the day that happened. The best story I've ever read took 4 seconds of the student's life. He was standing on top of a snake, and I think it was right about a time you were afraid, and the whole story lasted from beginning to end about 4 seconds of his life. So in the Q&A, go ahead and write down a place and an event where you had a positive experience, and I'd love to see a couple of those. And I won't be calling out your names, so I won't embarrass you. Just tell me what they are, and I will tell everybody what you shared. And that would be typed in the Q&A if you don't mind. Somebody went to a campsite. My house. Getting the Teacher of the Year yard sign. Now that person who put that up, I said I promise I wouldn't embarrass you. So was that Teacher of the Year for the campus or the district? Because you can lie. They're not going to come to your house and say, excuse me, Panchita, you're under arrest because you wrote about something that you didn't really do. So come with us. You have the right to remain silent as long as what you write is real or realistic. Somebody made their first s'more at the campsite. The person got Teacher of the Year from the campus. Somebody was able to pay off his or her house. And somebody said, too many, never mind, I won't say. Good answer. So I just want to let you know that if for any reason that you get cut off, the webinar ID and passcode were in the blue highlighted part of your email that I sent to you. The PDF was sent in a consecutive email, and another PDF was sent with the personal narrative scoring guide from the state, a picture writing activity, my personal narrative remotes, and those remotes are what I'm going to send you guys in the post office tomorrow, through the post office tomorrow. along with a horse activity to help you with the body. So I want you to, if all of you have it, I sent you both the read version and the print version of the handout. So what I would like you to do, go ahead and go to page 2 where this is. If you printed it out, then you can write all over it. If you didn't print it out and you're using the read version, just go ahead and take a moment real quick to get some paper where you can be taking some notes, and you can be kind of following along with me. All right. There in your homes, go ahead and say, if you would, everybody, M&M. M&M is a candy, more appropriate for elementary, and M&M is also a singer. Okay, both are inappropriate. The candy for your body and M&M for your ears. M&M, the candy and the singer, have a big brother named P and P, purpose and prompt. So those of you that start the year off, like many of you do, with personal narrative, it's not going to say expository on the top. It's going to say a different purpose. So on the top of every prompt page, it's not going to say purpose. One of the things that I recommend that you do is make your kids write the word purpose so they can say, oh, this is a personal narrative. And if you notice what I did, I went ahead and circled the word person of personal, and I made a little stick man, because the most important person in a personal narrative is me. I am the star of the story. So that's going to help them understand that I have to be the one. Now, because of what personal narrative means, not only is it going to be written in first person, 99% of the time it's going to be in past tense. Think of the AL as I actually lived this. It's something that I really did. Or AL is I actually lied about it. Part of it wasn't true. So one of you that said I made a s'more, if the prompt is positive, you want the s'more to taste delicious. If they said, write about a horrible experience, then you would write about how you burned the s'more, you burned yourself, you caught on fire, you set your whole family on fire. That would be something that you would change the story to make it realistic. So if everybody could, with your pencil or with your mouse or whatever, touch the end of narrative, I have a little acronym that's going to help your kids remember what exactly does narrative mean. It means that you need something. I need a real or realistic response about topic in very effective essay. Let me say that again in case some of you are writing it. I need a real, factual, or realistic response about topic in very effective essay. The reason I'm saying very effective is because my company is not called May the Ones Be With You or May the Twos Be With You. Even though we're writing personal narratives, we want to write stories that are well developed. Now, do me a favor, everybody. I'm going to make myself, for some reason I can't see myself, so I'm going to come out of the screen for a second. Everybody do me a favor and hold up your hand like you have a camera, like you're taking a picture. Ready? Get ready to take one right now of yourselves. And some of you, if you have a phone, if you could do me a favor once in a while, take a picture of some things that we're doing, some things that I'm doing, so that we can allow our audience to see it, because I want you guys to share some of these pictures, some of your experiences with Facebook, with Instagram, with Twitter. So everybody take a picture right now. All right. Now, the reason I did that is because on all personal narrative prompts, there's going to be a picture right underneath where the word purpose is. It's either going to say grade 7, because unfortunately, typically only grade 4 and grade 7 are going to practice personal narrative. Hopefully the grade level is 3rd, 2nd, 1st. I'm just curious. Raise your hand if you teach something besides 4th or 7th grade. You teach something different besides 4th or 7th grade. We have Diana, Valencia, and let me see my panelists. We have Andrea, I think she had raised her hand. So good job. I want to thank you from the heart of my bottom, the bottom of my heart for coming to the training today. What I want you to remember though is that usually when the kids see a picture of something actually happening, it has something to do with the prompt. It has something to do with the topic. So I'm going to try and switch. So I'm seeing Eugene. I want to make sure I see myself. See if I can figure out how to make myself do that real quick. Stop sharing, change it to speaker view. Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me now? There I am. All right. I'm gonna see if I can minimize you, Gina. You look great, but I want to make sure I can see myself more than you. So here we go. All right, thank you for your patience on that. So what I was saying was, when the kids see that picture, about half the kids will write exactly about what's in that picture. I remember I shared with you guys during expository that one year it snowed on Christmas Day in the Rio Grande Valley in 2004. 2 months later, they told the 4th graders, write about something that happened that you'll never forget. Well, that's not a positive prompt. It's not a negative prompt. That's a neutral prompt. So keep that in mind. A neutral prompt, something good can happen, something bad can happen. It doesn't matter as long as it's something that you'll never forget. Well, about 20,000 kids wrote about a time that it snowed and that they went outside and built a snowman and built snowmen, had snowball fights and had hot chocolate. And so the problem with pictures is if your kids can only think inside the box of that picture, they're going to write whatever's there. So I want to skip down and let's see what the prompt is. And I want you to write the word wow on your paper right above where the prompt is. I'm going to zoom in a little bit bigger. I'm just curious if y'all can let me know, can you see me? If you can see me, and I was trying to share, if you can see me as well as this prompt page, raise your hand. I want to just double check. Okay, great. So right above the prompt, what I like about the W is it looks like a 3. And so the 3rd section tends to be the right section. The first section for expository here is always read. For personal narrative, there's a picture. The 2nd section is a part that makes you think, and in expository it actually says think. The 3rd section is the right section. I'm going to touch the top of my head. The topic is the 3rd section, the part that they want you to write about. So WOW is going to stand for underline right and circle the key words. O as in circle. So it says write about a time, one time, that you had, and I have to change this and make it personal, I had to make a choice. And so that means a decision. I had to decide on something, I had to pick something. And don't lock your kids in a box. It can be an emotional, a mental, a physical, or a spiritual choice. It doesn't matter. And so if everybody can unmute yourself for a second, I'm going to have you say something with me. We'll say it as a class. We'll practice this, and there's a little unmute button. All right. Kind of like be my mirrors. Ready? Here we go. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, gets,
Gets
a
a
great
Great
score.
score.
So 1, 2, 3, 4 gets a great score. What they're saying is, hey, teachers, students, we don't care what program you're using. We don't care what curriculum your district used for personal narrative or expository. All we care about, here's the student rubric. If your students do that in the same way they have a 5-step rubric in 4th grade, they have a 5-step rubric for expository, they have one for personal narrative. So number 1, how do I get myself from zero land, out of la la land, to one land? And so, Shirley, if you don't mind, could you read the first bullet loud and proud for me?
write about a personal experience.
Okay. And Shirley, who is that most important person?
Me.
Me. I am. An experience, it has to be something from the past. So if you all could turn to the next page for a second. I want you to write where it says, what is the purpose? Let's write personal narrative, because the red light is understanding the P and the P, the purpose and the prompt. The yellow light is basically saying, all right, let's get this story going. I, introduction, me, the person, have to go to hopefully one place, and I need to have an experience. And so what I would like you to do is right there on that red line, or if you're just on your notes, if you're taking notes, go ahead and write purpose and then write personal narrative. And something that you might want to remind your kids about, because I wrote it in lowercase, the P has a little tail that has to be halfway under the line. And since we're doing an essay, we're not doing an open-ended question. I don't need to use the train as a question and answer. I need to understand that the prompt is just another word for a topic. So I'm going to touch the top of my head and remind you that the prompt, it has to do with the topic. So far then, we have to realize I'm one person that has to have one event, one experience. So I'm going to write on the bottom of the blue train, I've got to take an event, which I call a picture, and hopefully turn it into a video called an experience, something that happened, because I don't want it to sound like a picture. So I'll go back to the first bullet, and then we'll go from there. Amalia, if you can unmute yourself, I would appreciate it. Could you read the second bullet for us?
Organize your writing.
Okay. For expository, what they're saying is we want reasons and we want examples. For personal narrative, they're going to say, I want an event that responds to the prompt. So event and prompt. So we'll take that and say, okay, I need some sort of event. And people will ask me, Bill, is it okay if they have 3 events? I'm like, yes, but keep in mind that if you have more than one event, in the same way that your grade gets lower on expository because your reasons don't relate to each other, if the events don't connect, for example, the one who said, I went to a camp and we made s'mores. Well, if you also start building a tent, I don't think you're building the tent with s'mores. So those 2 events don't relate to each other. And so they would want you to stick to the event. Which one is more about the prompt? Right about a time that you made a choice. And so you either have to make a choice about what you're going to put on the s'mores, or you're going to say, is my event going to be what I decide to put inside my tent with me? What am I going to bring? How am I going to set my tent up, if that makes sense? So we'll go to the blue pot, remind ourselves that we have to say, okay, now let's make that connection. The person, me, has to go to a place, have an event and experience, and we want to make sure that it responds to the prompt. And so blue goes to green by saying, am I able to find anywhere in the story that you made a choice? And notice that my P over here is not prompt. You can tell your kids, start your essay by saying, have you ever made a choice? Well, if the reader is the eater of my words, and every single kid is saying, have you ever made a choice? I have. Well, the reader is going to have to eat those same words every single time. And for you that are not aware, we don't want to teach that because that's a formulaic way of approach to writing. And because of the barcoding, the same person tends to read everybody's essay in your classroom if it was an expository. So let's not get in the bad habit of doing that on personal narratives if we're not going to do that on expositories. So we can start in any creative way, and I want anybody that can, that train has something that starts with a W above him, so whoever says it first gets some brownie points. What is that W that blows every time he's trying to whistle? Say your name, whoever said that first.
Shirley.
Shirley. All right. So if everybody can say eventually, I need some sort of a whistle, something that would write to get the reader's attention before I get it, before I start telling you my story. I also can call it the wow. How are you planning on wowing the reader? Because if you have come to any of my other webinars, the readers are now allowed to grade between 120 papers to 210 papers per day, per person. And so I don't think very many of them are being wowed because 75% of our students each year in April are getting 0s, 1s, and 2s. Now, if any of you teach, I want to make sure I address my audience correctly. If any of you teach 5th grade and higher, raise your hand. Miss Panelist, make sure put your hand down if your hand is up right now. That way I can ask the question again. Valencia, if you don't mind unmuting yourself just for a second, go ahead and tell me what grade you teach, just so I can know how to address you. I unmuted you right now, so if you can just tell me what grade you teach.
5th grade.
5th grade. So
yes.
you're going to be getting those kids ready for what they call the 7th grade expository, and they're going to have to be able to use the little experiences that they have to help use them sometimes as little anecdotes, which we'll talk about in part 2 in the recorded webinar. So be thinking in the back of your heads, everyone, which parts of the story that we're going to read in a few minutes could relate to an example about a certain topic. So thank you, Valencia. Did I say that right? I'm gonna
Valencia, yes, that's correct.
Valencia. I'm trying to be a Hispanic down here in the Valencia. Go Gins. So we have a whistle and we have a wow. And so because we want to keep things simple, everyone, I want you to think of the 5 W's that they learned since pre-K. If I'm a kinder or a pre-K student, I could care less if my kids are putting a whistle or a wow. I just want to wow you with my word choice. In other words, wow, what other words could I use besides choice? I made a decision to behave for the whole day. And for some kids, that's a miracle. All right. So please, everybody, unmute yourself for a moment. And if you've been in the trainings before, I did a kinesthetic version of the 5 W's. I'm going to show you visually, and I want you to tell me with your mouth which W of the 5 W's, who, when, where, why, do you think I'm talking about? The owl.
Who.
Who. So skip a line if you would, and Everybody write the who. Who is in your story? Well, I have to be in the story. And so wherever you're going to be at for the event, you've got to decide who's going to be in this story with me. Sometimes no one has to be there. For example, right about a time that you made a choice, it doesn't say that anybody has to. When you talk about the specific demands of the prompt, I can be completely alone. This means positive. What does this mean, everybody?
Negative.
Negative. Making a choice is my prompt. So up there in the other P of purpose, what is the purpose? The reason Wonder Woman's there is she's got the W and the W. What is the purpose? What is the prompt? The purpose is personal narrative. The prompt is a time that I made a choice. And when your kids are looking at those keywords, they've got to tell you, is making a choice, are those positive keywords? Are they negative? Or are they neutral? And in this case, that's a neutral prompt, because the choice can be a horrible choice, a bad choice, a decision, a physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual choice that you make. I'm talking about those kind because of Valencia being here, because we want to be able to take kids to a little bit higher level. So that prompt is neutral. So make sure your kids understand that it doesn't matter what happens, as long as there's this decision being made in the beginning, the middle, or the end, the introduction, the body, or the conclusion. Okay? All right, make sure you guys have unmuted yourself. I'm going to ask a different W. Watch me. I'm going to move my head like this. Which W is that one?
What?
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 So skip
Like
a
what's that?
line. And what I want you to tell your kids, what am I doing at the beginning of this story? I don't care what you did this morning when you woke up. I don't want to hear brushing your teeth, combing your hair. That person that went to the campsite and was making s'mores, I want to know exactly what you were doing when the s'more event started. I was getting my graham crackers, my s'mores, and I can't remember what else goes in there, everybody. My brain is fried right now. Graham crackers, s'mores, yeah, the most important ingredient. The marshmallows, the graham crackers, and you need a little stick, right? Somehow
Yes.
to poke through it. So make sure your kids don't tell you what they were doing when they woke up that day, because that would be a bed-to-bed story. What were they doing when the main event, the big idea started? Okay, you're gonna skip a line. I'm gonna look around the room for a certain location. Which W, where? So you can skip a line and write, where were you at? Well, the story that we're gonna be reading in a moment takes place at an ice cream store. They don't name the ice cream store, so it stays a common noun. But if you want to, you can put GPS. If you want to get pretty specific, tell me the name of the store. Tell me the name of the beach or the park that you had that campsite at. Where exactly is your yard at when they came? What street can the whole world go to see this campus teacher of the year? Who, what, where? I'm going to touch my real watch. Which W?
When?
When? This student that we're going to be reading in a moment doesn't say exactly when, but I would probably imagine, because they're going to be eating ice cream, it might be a summer afternoon. So you could put something like that in there, and when I'm going to allow you to decide what your W's are going to be. Who, where, what, and the last one, it's that song. I'm going to back up so you can see me a little bit better. YMCA. I don't really care about the MCA part, but you need to ask your kids, why did you decide to go camping with your family? Why do you think that you got the district teacher of campus teacher. I was kind of exaggerating there. Campus teacher of the year. Why did you decide to go eat ice cream that day? Oh, it was just so hot. I felt like my face was just melting off of my body. Okay, well, that's hyperbole, but we'll allow that. Okay, now I'm gonna go like this for a second. Whether it's hot or cold and I'm outside, which W might I teach some of my students that they can add to let me know the climate that the writer is experiencing? Somebody besides Shirley, anybody except Shirley can talk. So who is gonna tell me which W stands for the climate that day? I'm gonna wait.
Is it weather?
Yes, the weather. What was the weather? I don't know whether to have the weather be cold or be hot. Well, comma, if you're going to be talking about eating an ice cream, the weather might be good that you have it be humid, and you might describe just how hot it is by not just telling me the weather, showing me with the sweat just dripping off your clothing. All right, so one more. You can skip a last line, and I want all of you to unmute for a second, and I want you to say what word that I just wrote.
Toes.
Toes. All right, there's a saying that says, don't judge a person till you've walked a mile in his shoes. Inside his shoes are his toes. That's the voice in the writing. And so not only do I want some sort of a little attention getter, what are you planning on doing? Are you going to do a figurative expression? Are you going to share an emotion? Are you going to share an opinion? Because you can start however you want, as long as it ties to whatever place you're going to go and the event that you're going to have while you're there. So toes really quickly. I'm going to touch my head. What do you think T stands for? I want to share my inner T's with you.
Think.
My
Thoughts.
inner thoughts. My opinion. If I say, Gina, you're the most amazing teacher in the universe. That's not true. It's just my opinion. But we want to be able to. Extra points for saying that. So what I would recommend that you guys do is, because these are the two easiest ones to teach, O and E, in the binder. And if you don't have the binder, just by showing up today, I'll send you a PDF copy that has 2 pages just with emotion words, synonyms of every emotion you can imagine, how you feel at the beginning of the story, and 1 page that's nothing but opinion words. And it's a really cool way to kind of help your kids understand voice. It's hard to get their thoughts out onto the paper, but sometimes you have to read their mind and you can get that, but I would teach that one later. The S is, I'm gonna hold up 5 fingers. The S is using your 5 what? Senses. Or if you decide to say something, what was it that you said? But let's say, I'll say this together. I need, everybody raise your right hand, repeat after me. I need to write a composition, not a conversation. Now, what I want you to imagine, because the S can be senses or what you might say, and that's why there's so much there that your kids can put a little bit of voice inside their introduction. The toes part, imagine that you have a hamburger, and I showed this on a video yesterday, and that every single time that you put dialogue, you're gonna put a little bit of ketchup. And just in case we're not remembering, what color is ketchup, everyone? Red. And so what you might do is read their entire story / personal narrative, and every time they use dialogue, underline it red like ketchup. And what you're gonna do is say, guys, I have this burger here, and Joey was talking a lot during his story, So let's see what happens if you talk a little bit too much. And so if I talk 17 times, I'm going to squirt 17 squirts of ketchup onto that burger. And I want you to be extreme when you're squeezing it, so your kids remember, oh, I can't have that much dialogue. It should be the spice and the flavor. Put a little bit of ketchup on your burger. Don't put burger on your
Ketchup?
ketchup. Very good. All right. So as you can see, our first 2 bullets are done. Let's take a look. Go back to page 2 for a second, everybody. Let's ask Diana. Diana, can you hear me? Diana, are you there? If you can unmute yourself. Let me allow you to talk. There you go. I didn't allow you to talk. Diana, can you hear me now? Gina. Can't get Diana's still figuring it out. Talk whenever you get a chance, when you figure it out, Diana. Gina, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, could you read bullet 3, please? How do we turn a 1-2 paper into what I call a 2-3 paper? And real quick, before she reads it, you guys, if you're not familiar with scoring, one of you cannot give this paper a 1 and the other one a 3, because just like expository, the scores have to be adjacent. It either has to be a 1-1, a 1-2, or a 2-2. And the only reason that you can get a 3, or what we might call a 2-3, is if one of the 2 graders says, oh, this paper is developed, the events are pretty well developed based on the prompt, the introduction and conclusion have some depth, they're just not a restating of the prompt. So next to development, everyone, go ahead and write experience. You're basically going to turn the event into an experience, a picture or pictures into video or videos if you end up having too many events. Because if you go to the beach, guys, there's like a million things you could do. And so what you want to have them do is say, I need to only talk about the event at the beach where I make a choice to do or to not do something, a physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual choice. So the event that I would zoom in on, it would be the one that would help me make that choice. So Gina, go ahead and, if you would, go ahead and read bullet 3, if you would.
Develop your ideas in detail.
Okay, so they're basically saying, like they would in expository, make sure in expository that you explain, but make sure in personal narrative that you give us the experience. We want to see the video. There's a saying that I like to use a lot. It says, life happens at full speed, but writing happens in slow motion. So you're basically grabbing that personal narrative remote that I sent to you guys as a separate email, and you're pushing what I call the play button. I want to be a good 4 to 5 sentences about that event. What are the actions? What are the reactions? What happened during that event? And because we'll be focusing mainly on the introduction today, we won't worry about that too much today, but we can still develop our introduction a little bit. Okay, so let's have, let me go to my panelist person. Andrea, I unmuted you. Do you mind reading the 4th bullet?
Okay. Choose your words carefully.
Very, very true. Choose your words carelessly. Right, everybody?
No,
Choose your
carefully.
carefully. And so what's going to happen there is they're not just going to share an experience, they're going to explode it. And I don't know if you had the blessing or the punishment or torture of having to go to the reading academy, but they read to me in that training for 5 days from PowerPoints and binders. But one day I got this cool thing from there. It said, when you find the student's best idea, and in this case, the best event, make a box around it. And I would make that box in blue because of the way I have the train set up. And I want you to explode that event. One way to explode, according to the CEA rubric, is think of the word words. It has a W, and when you separate a W, you get 2 V's. And so Make sure that as your kids progress throughout the year, you're constantly teaching them higher vocabulary and how to use their voice, the things that we said in toes, thoughts, opinions, emotions, senses, say. And I'm gonna grab my belly and say salsa. The salsa is that higher vocabulary and figurative L. What does somebody think the L stands for? Figurative what? Starts with
Language.
an L.
Language.
Diana got disconnected. I want to make sure she's back with us. Raise your hand, Diana, if you did get back with us. Thank you. All right. Sorry about that. I'm noticing that ever since the hurricane here in the valley, I don't know if any of you are from the valley or not, but boy, the internet, the computers, everything has gone haywire. Somehow I lost all my hair since the hurricane. I used to, those of you who know me know I don't have any hair. I just thought I'd throw a little bit of humor in there. So be careful that you're not expecting your kids to get 4s in the first 6 weeks, especially if the kids don't write personal narratives a lot. Hopefully they've been writing personal narratives since kinder, or at least telling them. But since you're 4th grade teachers, I want you to think about this. Most of you are 4th grade. Think about this as a reasonable goal. In the first essay, say, may the 1s be with you. The second essay, may the 2s be with you. The third essay, may the 3s be with you. And the 4th essay, may the 4s be with you. And you guys can say, and also with you, because eventually we've got a transmission or transition to expository. We're explaining, because 4th grade and 7th grade have to explain. All right. So let's see if Diana, go ahead and try and talk, Diana, and see if it lets you this time. Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, I'm at the ranch, so you're gonna hear a lot of background
Oh,
noise.
no, that's cool. That's okay. Go ahead and share that last bullet where I placed an E and a C, please.
I,
Right where my finger is.
okay, use correct spelling, capitalization, punctuation.
Grammar.
I can't see the
Yeah.
rest.
Grammar
Grammar
and
and
sentences.
sentences.
Okay. So everybody, if you decide to put an E there, then have your kids write ending, extension, which is why the experience was important to your students, and ER. I don't know why I put it in that order, but if I'm just trying to get 1s or 2s, all you need is an ending and then do some editing and revising. If I'm trying to get 3s and 4s, what I've noticed, if they don't write an extension, a transformation, how is my world different, then it's hard to get 3s and 4s if you don't write about that, how that experience has made your life better, worse, or different. If you choose to think of C instead, you need a conclusion. You need to do the conventions, which is basically cups, the editing, and the content, which is the revising, where you're adding, removing, replacing, or moving certain things that don't contribute to the event and the prompt. So before we go on, if all of you can finish filling in your train, I've already PEPE responded to the prompt. I have to make a choice somewhere in the story, and I either have to have an E and ending with an extension and take my paper to the ER, the editing and revising emergency room, or I can say, see, I need a conclusion, and then I'm going to work on the conventions, which is the editing, the grammar, and the content, which is the revising, where you're working on the development and the organization of the essay. And that will be done on the last training. We try to make the essay a little bit gooder before we turn it in. Okay, when you turn to the next page, this is in your binder, all of you, but I want you to notice, basically it has a glorified version of everything, PEPE, the plan that we just finished making. What place am I going to go to? What event am I going to turn into an experience? Hopefully one real or realistic event. Have something that responds to the prompt. If I'm going to be with another person, they have to help me respond to that prompt. If there's going to be a problem, something negative, you've got to decide, is it going to have a resolution or not? What plot? And there's lots of plot ideas that you can use. I have that in there mainly because of 7th grade, that 5th grade Valencia there. Is there going to be an adventure in this personal challenge, a mystery, a goal, love, discovery, problem, sacrifice, loss, or change? Think outside the box. And then the end, END, end your story with a bang, not a gong. Save time and space for a good conclusion. The now statement is the extension. How's my life changed? What insight can I give you as a person? Is there a moral or a lesson that I have learned from this? And when you're done, don't let your kids run to your desk. Miss, I finished. Did you do your editing? No. Did you do your revising? Yes. They usually won't do that. And a lot of times you're going to have to teach them how to edit and revise as a class first. Then you can do it with groups and with partners. And I think that will make life a lot simpler for you guys. Now, let's look at an actual story. If you could unmute yourself for a second. I'm going to ask you a simple question. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see myself. Let me see how big I can make myself. Gallery view, there I am. Okay, all right. How many of you like food? Raise your hand. Okay. The ones that didn't raise your hand are lying because all of us like food. And what we're going to see is a story about a student who had to make a choice about food. And I'm sure the student woke up that morning, they probably brushed their teeth, combed their hair, took a shower, but we're gonna push the skip button on that and pay close attention to the introduction. And so some of you are from the same school. Real quick, Shirley, how many people, I'm gonna name all of our people. So if you can tell me, Shirley, which ones are from your school. Diana, I don't know
Yes.
Diana's last name. Diana,
De
what's your
Leon.
last? Diana De Leon, Valencia, Shirley, Amalia,
Robin, yep.
Gina, and Andrea.
Everybody but Gina.
Gina, you get the prize for being the person. Are you the one that's from the Rio Grande Valley, if I'm not mistaken?
No, I'm in San Antonio.
San Antonio, okay. All right. Now we had several more, but as always, a lot of people, I was worried about putting this at night. I guess people have a life. I had a lot more people sign up, but I got them telling me, go ahead and send me the recorded version. And that's fine, you know, but I'm just blessed to have used those of you that are here. That way they can see audience participation. So I'm just curious, you can learn more about someone in 1 hour of lunch than you can in a 6-hour training. So every week I would have a student of the week and I would eat lunch with that student and I would get to know them. And so I'm just curious, if you've seen your coworkers at lunch in the Q&A session, I'm just curious if you could tell me your favorite food, and I want you to guess based on what you've seen other people. And so this basically is the hook, the attention getter. I'm trying to get you interested in food because the essay we're about to read talks about food. So I want to know your favorite food in the Q&A, and then if you get extra points if you know apparently this person likes this kind of food. And the teacher should always go first. So I'm going to share first what I like. My favorite food, and I really broke my diet. I lost 45 pounds, in case some of you didn't notice. The other day I made it from 245 to 200 the other day. And I celebrated by going to this place here in the valley called Karai Sushi. And it's basically you pay $10 and you can eat sushi all day long until you lose all of your gains that I gained. And I noticed that I canceled out about 3 or 4 pounds. So sushi is probably my favorite food. And I'll use my son as my other example. If I was to guess, my son would do anything for a steak. So if you don't mind, in the Q&A, go ahead and think for a second, what is it that you like, your favorite food, and tell me what somebody else likes. Somebody said hamburgers. And if you're gonna pick somebody else, tell me the name of the person, and Gina, you can pick somebody from your school. Sometimes what you eat shows a little bit about your voice, your personality, your things that make you tick, that make you go yum. Some Amalia, chicken. Valencia, apparently she makes more than the rest of you because she likes snow crab legs, okay? At least she didn't say king crab. Amalia said that Shirley likes hamburgers, and apparently it's
I was
true
going
for
to say the same thing about Shirley. I was typing it right now. And actually, I don't like king crab legs. I love to specifically snow crab legs.
Really? Can you tell me, is there a difference in the flavor to you? Because
It is. Snow crab legs have a more of a sweet flavor to it, and king crab legs have like a seafood that it, tastes.
oh, you know, that reminds me of my brother. He loves to catch fish, but he hates to eat them because of whatever you just said. They have some sort of a fishy taste that is disgusting to him.
The sea taste, yeah.
Okay.
But the snow crab legs are nice and tender, and it's not as hard to get into.
All right, one of you, this is true confessions time. Somebody told on you. They said that you like Cheetos. You like to eat, if you could eat Cheetos as a meal, you probably would. So if you can confess that someone's talking about you at your school, they've seen you eat a lot of Cheetos.
That has to be Shirley.
No.
Shirley says, no, it's not me. Amalia, you don't like Cheetos? I'm curious, Amalia, do you like
Yes,
Cheetos?
I like hot Cheetos.
And
Oh.
especially hot Cheetos is the
Thinking
next
of food,
comment.
not as a snack. I was thinking of food, not a snack.
That's what I
Okay.
put. I go, Amalia likes as a snack Cheetos, and then I changed and I corrected it with especially hot Cheetos.
Gina says that pasta for her and chicken tenders for a coworker. So Gina, you could probably get together and say, hey man, you bring the chicken tenders, I'll bring the pasta, and let's make a meal out of it that we can enjoy. Let me see if anybody else put one. All right, so very good. Now, if you're only paying attention when it's your turn, we lost a teaching opportunity there. So my question for you is this: as quickly as you can type, what was it? Because the teacher went first. That one happened the longest ago. And so since we're brainstorming choices of food, listen to the person that I tell you, and I want you to tell me what that person said their food was and the person that they chose. That person's name is Bill MacDonald. What was Bill MacDonald's favorite food and his son's? As quick as possible, go back in your memory bank and type, what was it that I said I like? And my son, if you remember both of them. We're going to see who gets both of them first. So Shirley wins. I like sushi. My son likes steak. So we're going to go to a place that sells sushi and steak. That way we can both be happy. And I don't know where in the world, like, you know, when I was a kid, my dad would have steak and lobster with a side of asparagus, and us kids would get TV dinners. And if you're in your 50s or older, you might have experienced TV dinners tasting more like cardboard than food. And so the choices back then were not that great. Okay, so let's go ahead, and I need some volunteers. I'm gonna share the screen again for a second. I'm gonna minimize your hands. Valencia, you can put your hand down if you want, unless you had a question. You can say, did you have a question?
No.
Go ahead. And go ahead, and I have all of you unmuted, so you can, if you want to interrupt me at any time, feel free to do so. I'm not going to just keep going. Go ahead and say, hey, Bill, I have a question, and I'll just stop talking. Just let me finish my sentence and go ahead and share that. So let me share the screen. I do need, so that we can work on the essay. Shirley, you've been the one that has come to, I think, the most of these. You poor soul, you put up with me a lot. I labeled the introduction P. Where is this person going to go? The place. What was the person and the place? So
They were going for ice cream.
yeah, if you don't mind, Shirley, go ahead and read. We're on, for those of you that are following along, it's page 5. And again, I just want to say with you, to all of you, because kids are better at reading than they are at writing, I had my second email, or it was my third email to you today, I can't remember now. I sent you the whole personal narrative guide that shows how to get a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. And if you don't know how to get a 0 on personal narrative, they didn't tell us that until 2015. But there's 9 different ways to get a 0. And I included a lot of things in here because I don't have much for personal narrative in terms of in-depth in my binder. So everything that you got as an email, like 90% of the things that you received today are not in the binder. So you might want to add them either to the back if you've already like put it in a binder yourself, or if I've sent you a hard copy of the binder. There's no scoring guide for personal narrative in my binder. I have expository scoring guides, but what I did was I showed you in a section in my binder how to turn a 1 into a 2, how to turn a 2 into a 3, and how to turn a 3 into a 4, and even how to improve a 4. And so basically in the same way that I did for expository, for personal narrative, it's better to teach them how to understand a personal narrative by letting them read one with you, and before you start trying to do one for them or with them as a class or in group. So Shirley, do you mind reading just the introduction?
Menus are overrated,
Stop.
especially in.
That's not true. That's just someone's opinion. And so them writing that, even though overrated, I'm not even sure, I'm not gonna even go look it up, if over and rated are 2 words or 1 word. Does anybody know if that's 2 words or 1 word? Is it written correctly there?
I believe it's right.
Okay. I did notice that the second sentence has a fragment. If they would have put an ellipsis there, ... lowercase the e, and spelled especially differently, then that would have been a great, awesome beginning. Go ahead and read the rest of the introduction, and we'll talk a little bit about it.
Okay, menus are overrated, especially in ice cream shops. Ever since I was 8, I just looked at the counter to see the flavors. They have the tubs right on it, but that was after I went to this super cool new ice cream shop.
So everybody, these 3 or 4 sentences they started with, this was partially when I was 8, and so they pushed what I call in the remote fast forward. They did not start at 8 years old and say, okay, let me tell you everything that happened since I was 8 years old. And so you might tell your kids, that's an example, students, of pushing the fast forward button. And so I'm going to ask you all some questions if you can unmute yourself, because today is about introductions. Raise your hand when you're unmuted. I can see that part when you raise your hand when I'm in the screen. Gina, thank you. To raise your hand. All right, so I believe you raised your hand. All right, so make sure you're all unmuted. I'm going to ask you some questions. In the rewind of the student's life, how old was the student? And you can just shout it out.
8.
8, okay?
8.
Where was this student?
At an ice cream
Ice
shop.
cream shop.
And very specifically, they weren't just at the shop, they were actually at the counter, okay?
Oh.
And so the reason they're telling you menus are overrated is because, dude, like, I don't like looking at words. I like, actually, I'm a visual learner. I need to see the ice cream and what it looks like right in front of me. If y'all don't mind, could I give any extra credit? What word choice do you feel? I see 2 or 3 that are higher level word choices that maybe a typical 4th grader might not use. Overrated for sure. Anything else that you wouldn't expect from a typical 4th grader that we can say, oh, look at them choosing their words carefully.
Tubs.
Tub. What do most kids, I'm going to use green for good. What do most kids think of when they think of the word tub, everyone?
Bathtub.
When they,
A
you take a bath in.
bathtub. And so like, miss, why are they putting the ice cream in a bathtub? And I'm trying to think from the point of view and perspective. Thank you for laughing, Shirley. That makes my day. So if all of you can stay unmuted, it makes me feel better when you laugh at my jokes. So I appreciate that. Do you see the student using the word I in the introduction? Is the student writing in
Yes.
first person? All
Yes.
right. So help your kids understand. You can already see that they are writing about a personal experience. I am experiencing this. I went to a store. I experienced this. So most of the W's are there. The ice cream is new, but what opinion did he give to us? That it's not just new, it's what, everybody?
Super cool new.
It's super cool. All right, real quick, I'm just curious. I'm going to write something. You are not this student, but if you get to take over the story, if you made the choice, I want you to write flavor on the side, and next to it, I want you to write down, and I want you to do me a favor. Think about what all the boring teachers that are listening and watching right now are gonna write. I want you to think of some flavor that no one else will think of, that you've actually tried the flavor, it really exists. And I want you to think outside the box, because when it comes to making the choice, you might tell your Blaine kid, your 3-4 kid, pick a flavor that no one else would think of that would make their mouth water just even as they're reading the paper. So I'm going to come out of the screen, out of the share for a second, so I can look at your Q&A, because I want to be able to see in my Q&A. Don't type until you think of an ice cream that no one, and so if everybody, here's what you get. You're going to get 2 things tomorrow in the mail. And if nobody has your idea, your ice cream flavor, you win the personal narrative remotes. They're really thick tag board, 25 of them. And another activity that we'll do in another little part of it, you'll be able to win your horse activity, which is how to put the voice. So think carefully to win your personal narrative storytelling remotes in the mail tomorrow. Shirley's, and if you all can write this in your notes, write Shirley, Ben & Jerry's fish food, and it's PHISH. If you don't mind, Shirley, just describe, because the reader doesn't get to taste it, so you're going to describe it a little bit for us. That would be after you make the choice. What does it taste like? I'm just curious.
It's chocolate ice cream with swirls of caramel and marshmallow, and then it has in there little fudge chocolate fish shaped pieces.
Are you making that up?
No, I am not.
I've never heard of that. Okay,
It is very good, I promise you.
Raise your hand if you believe her, because I don't know if she was just trying to make sure that she was getting her points. Okay, all of your hand, never mind, you raised your hand. All right, so we have Shirley's. So one person has already gotten Shirley. I'm going to write down that you've already earned your first. We have Gina. Gina, my goodness. Do you mind sharing what you told us, what you told me in the notes? Because a lot of people said they can't see questions and answers. Tell them what you wrote.
I wrote unicorn poop ice cream.
Ooh.
Somebody responded, ooh. And so my
I know,
worry.
but if you describe it, it's really good.
Okay, for those of you that that maybe that's in the Q&A. If you have a question, I'm gonna make sure I'm my panelists there. Andrea, you're the one that will have to just say yours out loud because I don't know if you can. Go ahead, Andrea. Go ahead and write something in the Q&A. I'm gonna just make sure that you're able to write as well. I'm curious if it lets you or not. And if it doesn't, go ahead and say your flavor if you don't mind. Because you're the one that
Let me try to get down here.
Yeah, in the Q&A. We have, okay, Gina, I'm just very curious. Please, for the love of God, what in the world is unicorn poop?
Well, it was
And
served.
did you make it up?
No, I didn't. It's real. It was served at a birthday party that was held like in a ice cream shop in Katy, Texas, and the theme was unicorns. And so the ice cream was like a birthday cake vanilla type ice cream, and it had swirls in it with sprinkles.
Okay. And was that ice cream forced upon you, or did you get to make the choice on whether you were going to eat it or not?
No, we had a choice.
Okay. So you already made a choice. And what you just did was describe this student, we're going to find out in the body, does not describe the ice cream at all. All they said it was good. To me, that's not good enough because if I'm going to give this paper a 4, I want to be able to taste and smell that ice cream going down my throat. So Gina, you get your points. Amalia, go ahead and tell them what you wrote, if you don't mind.
I wrote Girl Scout mint cookies because I love Girl Scout mint cookies. And the ice cream, I like cookies and cream. So I thought, Girl Scout mint cookies and the cookies and cream.
So, I knew you were going to say the Girl Scout one.
I'm going to do a TMI, everybody. Everybody say TMI.
TMI.
TMI does not mean too much information. It means a teachable moment of instruction. If Amalia was to leave it at Girl Scout mint cookies, and if you choose cookies, that's great. But if the question was right about your favorite ice cream, unless she was going to put those Girl Scout mint cookies in ice cream, that would be a lower score because you're not responding to the specific, if those keywords are in both expository and personal narrative. So Amalia, you get your first point. Interesting. And what was the ice cream that you said after you changed, when you added the flavor of ice cream? You said something cookies
and cream because that's my favorite cookies and cream. But my favorite cookies are the mint, and so that's, but I didn't come up with a name for it.
Valencia, go ahead and describe cookie dough ice cream for us, just very briefly, just whatever ideas come into your head.
Oh, it's just like ice cream cookie dough. It's like I would say it tastes like vanilla. You know, if you taste vanilla, because it has a little more thickness than regular ice cream.
And so I'm gonna ask all of you a question. I asked you a question, you had to think about it before it came out of your mouth. And hopefully when we make decisions in life, we always think before we speak. I think that gets us in trouble sometimes, that we speak before we think. And so what you can tell your kids is your thoughts are, as you're standing there at the counter, what's going through your head as you're moving your eyes around the counter, looking down, trying to pick which ice cream that you're gonna get. So let me see who else I need. Shirley emailed me a picture of fish food, so you get bonus for that, Shirley. We're going to cancel the rest of the training because Shirley just distracted me with some temptations. Diana, We have Diana, and we have, I'm gonna let you unmute yourself, Diana, and we have Andrea. Andrea, did you find out if it lets you type in the Q&A or not?
Yes, I typed in there. Can you see it?
Let me look at it real quick. And it might not be letting me see yours for some reason. Let me get to the bottom. Diana. Yeah, for some reason it's not letting me see yours. Go ahead and just tell me yours, Diana, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry.
Andrea, excuse me.
Okay, mine is butter pecan.
Ooh. Now, if the kid hears the word butter and the word pecan,
He's gonna get confused.
they're gonna think that you're actually putting some butter, like a big slab of butter on top of the pecan.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so make me want some of your butter pecan, Andrea. I'm just curious
Okay,
how you're gonna do that.
It's vanilla butter pecan.
Okay, but kind of tempt me. What is it that
It has
makes
a lot of pecans in it, and it tastes like butter, but it's vanilla.
Okay. All right, and the last, we saved the best for last, Diana. Is it Diana? Diana? What do y'all?
Diana, Diana, Diane. I get called every single name, so it doesn't matter at this point.
Hopefully nice. Hopefully nice things.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
so Diana, to get your points, what is your favorite ice cream?
So while the discussion was going on, I was debating. I have several, but I have to say my very
Pause for a second,
favorite.
Diana. Pause for a second. I want to do a TMI again, a teach one more instruction. So Diana could be writing. My mind was, while everyone was taking their time in the 10-minute line in front of me, my mind was going 100 miles an hour debating on what I was going to pick. Because Diana told me that, I'm basically telling her those were your thoughts that you just put into words yourself. And so I helped my kids understand how to turn their words backwards into the thoughts that were there before they came out of their mouth. Does that make sense, everybody?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry for interrupting, Diana.
Yes. Drum roll, please. No. So my favorite has to be ice cream cone.
And what flavor would you put in it if you had to put a certain specific flavor?
So ice cream cone is just like the ice cream cone that you normally have, except it comes in the little tubs, or the Pine by Bluebell.
Oh,
It is
okay.
delicious. You find everything in that you would find in the ice cream cone except for the mess.
Except for the what?
For the mess, you know how when it's melting?
Oh, and so you're going to be able to have an extension at the end that it's such an amazing selection because there's never a mess. You get just to throw everything away. Nothing's on your face. The last time I ate ice cream, I had more on my face than I did inside my mouth, and half of it was on my shirt. So thank you all for doing that for me. Yeah, and I probably have ruined half of my shirts because of that issue. So, Diana, you're still there, right? You were the one that just finished talking.
Yes.
Do you mind reading the body? And I want you guys to remember that the event and responding to the prompt, we have to be able to see this student transitioning to say, is there a choice being made somewhere? And I already underlined a previous version of this when I was kind of looking through the essay myself. So if y'all had a green crayon or a green pencil, I would ask you to do what I'm going to do for you once Diana finishes reading the event. Go ahead, Diana. I'm going to draw a little mouth right here, everybody. The student started the body by having dialogue. And there's my dimples before I start talking. And those are my closing dimples when I'm done talking. And we don't need any dimples in the middle because all of that was said. And so if you guys can think of it like this, here's the play record button that I don't push again until I push the stop button when I gave you the tag, the person who's talking and the way that they're talking. So go ahead and read. I'll just interrupt you a couple of times as we go along, Diana.
Sure. Whoa, this is awesome, I shouted. The second I walked, then I saw the line. My face fell.
Stop. If you are willing to come on the screen and show us what that looks like, because that's voice. My face fell is showing me what you do when you feel a certain way. So I'm going to draw a little heart right there. And so part of who I am, and this is getting into the body, but I just want to make sure you see what does a 4 look like before I start trying to build an introduction with you and building from there. So is anybody willing to come on the screen and allow us just to see your face falling? So I think the teacher should go first. Just tell me yes or no, everybody. Do you think that's what they meant? That my face just literally like fell off my head?
No.
No. So if you don't mind, because we're all visual learners here, there's always, I always say every classroom has 3 types of kids: winners, wieners, and whiners. And I want you to use the wieners, the class clown, to say, Miss, I want to be able to have my face fall. I want the rest of the class to see what that looks like, because all it means is I got sad, but the student didn't even write, I was disappointed. The voice part was what I do when I'm disappointed. And so that's a 3-4 paper when you write what you do when you're disappointed. So is anybody willing to come on screen and show me what disappointment looks like just with your face falling? That's all you have to do. And you'll be the first ones that get the horse, the second thing in the mail.
I'll do it.
All right, who is that said that?
Me, Shirley.
Okay, Shirley. I think y'all are all panelists, so I'm just gonna have to check and see how I do this. I'm gonna move you, Shirley. I'm gonna move you. I'm gonna promote you to panelist. I'm gonna promote all of you to panelists. So if you want, you can make sure you can turn off your camera. All of you have the ability to be seen now, and I think all of you are panelists. So Shirley is the one that, and all of you, the rest of you can turn your cameras off. So Shirley, I'm gonna read that little part again. So if you could be so kind as to the second that you hear that emotional response, go ahead and do what it says. Whoa, this is awesome, I shouted. The second I walked in, then I saw the line. So go ahead and look at the line. My face fell. Oh, did you already do that part? Okay, all right. Now, go ahead and Shirley, don't look at the essay. I want you to be this character for the rest of this event, and Diana will finish reading the event. Y'all can follow along. You can either look at the words or look at Shirley, and Shirley, kind of put yourself in the shoes of this character. That way they can see. And so you can kind of peek if you need to, Shirley, to see. But I want to be able to watch. I can see you, and I can see myself, and I can see the words. Diana, are you still there where we can have you?
I'm here.
Great, thank you so much. Go ahead and read from the face falling.
Unfortunately, I don't have the notes on me.
Oh,
so is there any way you can, no, I don't, I'm so sorry.
Okay, let me see if I can fix this. I'll have to share the screen, so hopefully I can keep you visible, Shirley. That usually I can have you somewhere. Shirley, I'm gonna do something that I did with Kanea. I'm going to promote you to a co-host, all right? And that's gonna give you some control, and hopefully you can keep yourself visible. I'm going to show my screen. Hopefully that will allow them to see you and the screen. Let's see if that works, okay? Can you all see Shirley at all or no?
Yes.
Okay, so Shirley, you can listen or you can look, whichever one you want to do. They can see you and they can see my words. Go ahead, Diana, and read from, start with the line. That line was long.
That line was long. I walked to the end of the line.
Stop.
Stopping.
So, stop for a second. So Shirley, just touch your eyes real quick. You're letting the reader see the line. And I want you to pretend you're walking in place to get yourself to the end of the line. And go ahead, Diana. Still step. I'm pushing go on my remote.
Okay. Okay. Stopping on the squishy carpet that led to the counter.
All right, everybody make the onomatopoeia sound of squishy carpet.
Squish,
Squish, squish, squish.
Okay. Automatic. They didn't do that, but they let you know that it sounded squishy to them. And I'm gonna keep my finger moving, Diana. That way it's easier for you to follow along when I keep interrupting you. Go ahead.
Okay. Even though the line moved fast, it was still a 10-minute wait.
So on the side, everybody, hold on one second. Go ahead and write down this entire story, this entire personal narrative, not counting the 2 years in the past part, takes place over 10 minutes of the student's entire life. It's this student exploding this moment. Go ahead.
When it was finally my turn, the person who would take my order switched with a bored-looking, tall.
Stop. Everybody look at Shirley for a second. Shirley, pretend like you're your students that are not really wanting to be there. I'm just curious. What does that look like? Show me your face, a bored looking, and it also says you're tall. So try to get up as tall as you can in your chair for a second. And we're gonna shave your head because it does say that you're bald.
I need my hair, sorry.
All right. So I had to come out of there. I just wanted to see that. All right. So basically I'm slowing down the story to the still step so the students can see all of that happening. So this bored looking tall bald guy, continue from there, Miss Diana. Right where my finger is. Can you see it?
I'm sorry. I've read it and I have muted my phone. Okay. Who completely blocked my view of
now pause
the menu.
Real quick. When you hear the word VU, everybody, you hear the E before the I. So even though this kid got a 4, I want you to remember that you don't lose your 4 because you make a few mistakes. The conventions don't have to be perfect. Keep that in mind. They just have to be strong. Something that you can talk to your kids about, if you're going to write in cursive, write in cursive. If you're going to write in print, write in print. Don't write in what I call printsive. I don't like these print letters smashed together like this because this L and this O, everyone, looks more like a what? A B. And so we have to be careful that we don't get lower grades just because of some simple things like penmanship. And so if I was making a spelling list, everyone, I would add view to the list. If I felt like even my 4 kid is going to struggle with view, I need to practice some EIs or IEs. Is it I before E or is it E before I? And in this case, it should have been the other way around of the menu. So Diana, let's just draw conclusions. Does it really matter that the student can't see the menu based on what he said in the introduction? He said menus are overrated, right? So it doesn't even really matter if he can see the menu or not. So that's a good point to put in there. Yeah, the guy blocked my view, but don't worry, I still have the actual food to look at. So continue from there, Diana. Unmute if you could. She's gone. Gina, are you still there?
I'm here.
All right, go ahead and if you can take over. Diana might have had to leave the building. Now,
Okay.
when you get right here, Gina, I want you to pretend like you're the reader who's not going to fix that. I don't know what that letter is, but they slam two letters together. Make up some pronunciation that puts something like that together. It doesn't make sense. So if the whole word doesn't make sense, if I was reading it, I would say, I looked down at the because I couldn't understand it. I looked down at the, and it looks like a C.
It looks like cod.
Yeah, so you can say cod if you want to. And
Okay.
Miss, no, it's called. So no, I'm going to read what I see because the reader's not going to fix it for us. Go ahead.
Okay. I looked down at the cod as ice, steel container, and saw all the flavors staring up at me as if begging me to choose them.
Okay, that's personification, everybody. If you want to put that on the side. Begging me to choose them, personification. Cold as ice, that's a simile. You're comparing the counter to ice.
This is really good.
Yeah, I like it. That's why I chose. I was like, you know what? I don't want to choose some random one that got lucky to get a 4. I want to choose one that has some real voice in it. Okay, and I like that they know staring versus starring, because if they don't, they would have put begging instead of begging. Thank you, Gina. Continue, please.
I don't know how it was possible, but somehow.
Real quick, they're sharing their thoughts with you right there. I don't know how it was possible, what was going on in their head, but somehow. Go ahead.
But somehow I managed to choose. I got 1 chocolate and 2 mint scoops. Okay. That ice cream was good.
All right. So everybody, if you could, I want you to, with your pencil, or if you have any crayons, I'm going to place a red X, because I don't want my student that's a 4 student using that. You guys did such a great job of describing your ice cream. When I made you do that, I was anticipating when we got to this part, that sentence needs to go away. Replace this sentence with a sentence that lets me taste and smell the ice cream. So there were 2 blank lines. So guess what? I could have spent 2 more sentences letting you, the reader, know just how wise my choice was, based on the taste and the smell and the way it was going down my throat. And there's enough room. And what I also noticed is the student tends to stop before the end of the line. There's many cases room for 1 more word at the end, and they sometimes are putting too much space at the beginning. It looked like they're trying to indent almost every line. So let's give everybody give Diana and Shirley a hand. They read our introduction and our body. I hear some hand claps, or you can clap with the hands. All right. We do need 1 more volunteer. We're on a border of a 3 and a 4. All we need is an ending that has some sort of an extension, a reflection of how life is better or different. And I don't see your hands or anything, so I'm gonna have to have you talk and say, I can read the conclusion. One of you that haven't read yet, please, real quick. We have Amalia. Let me come out of the thing real quick and see who we still have. We have
I can read.
Amalia, Gina, Andrea, Shirley. All
this
right.
is Andrea. I can read the last one.
All right. Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate that. All right.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Every day I beg to go back to that wonderful place. But
so this story is already finished. They're now giving a reflection. The story's done. Every day I beg, and so life is different now. I beg to go back, and I guess they're talking about begging their parents. Go ahead.
Okay, but it would be nice to not have to wait in line that long.
Okay, they were tying in something they mentioned, a negative aspect. The choice is more important than the line, but we can tie in somehow. The waiting part helped us to be able to decide by the time we got there. Continue.
Okay. My mouth waters like crazy when I think of that ice cream. I have to go back.
All right, and I like the fact that that capital is there, because you can sometimes emphasize. They sell that when you're putting all caps, that's like yelling. there's several exclamation marks. That was done intentionally. And so what I want you to put on the bottom for you guys is, let's make the connection before we talk about brainstorming. A little expository bank that I can put. This experience of the student could be a favorite food experience. It could be a favorite place. It could be a favorite time of year, summer, because I can eat ice cream. It could be something that's really hard, deciding based on the 100 flavors that are there, which one I'm gonna pick. One invention, the most amazing invention in the world is ice cream. Something I plan to do in the future, they already told us. I wanna go every single week to this ice cream store, and I would love to have a name for it. If y'all can turn to the next page, we're gonna try and get where we can write the basic introduction for a prompt that I have for you guys. But I wanna make sure we understand the prompts first. Go ahead and go everybody to page 6 for a second, if you would. And practicing the wow, I just want you to notice those first 5 say story, all the way to number 10. The biggest difference, everyone, between a story and a personal narrative, a story can be about you, a story can be about anybody else, but a personal narrative has to be about you actually living something in the past tense. And so each time when we write wow, we underline right, and then we circle the key words. So nice memory, that up arrow, positive. A day with your family, keywords, that's neutral because it could be a horrible day, it could be a nice day. A time with a friend, neutral, could be positive or negative. Going to my favorite place. Going to, you can't just talk about it or describe it like we do in expository. You actually have to have gone there into your favorite place, and hopefully because of favorite, it's going to be positive. A time you are afraid, usually fear is negative. So let's come down to personal narratives, everybody. And if you all could help me, sure, I see your name first on the list. On number 11, where personal narratives start, let's just practice a couple of these. We would underline what word, Shirley?
Personal narrative.
Underline,
right, sorry.
Underline right.
Underline right.
And then we're going to circle all the keywords. We're not doing personal an expository, narrative. Okay? And anything else that's important, any keywords?
Never, or something you never forgot. So okay. Forget, so
something
and then never forget.
So something is singular, so hopefully they won't be writing about a whole bunch of things. So never forget. Would you say that's positive, negative, or neutral?
It's neutral because it could go either way.
Very good. All right. All right. Gina, could you try, I'm going to let you pick one from 12 through 20. You can pick whichever one you want.
Okay, if you can just scoot it over a little. Well, let me see if I can move mine because I can't see the ending.
Okay, let me move these out of the way. I have your names because my daughter, y'all can get
I've got it.
Get after
I can do 12.
Okay, 12. Okay. All right, go for it.
Okay, so I would underline right.
Okay.
Circle personal narrative.
Okay, and what is a personal narrative, Gina? Just a little pop quiz there.
It is an experience that I had, so I would tell it in the first person in past tense.
Praise the Lord, hallelujah. Okay.
Okay. Circle something.
Something, that means we want to zoom in on one thing. Okay.
And circle good at doing.
Yes, I like that you did it as a phrase. Okay. Now, Gina, I'm a fair golfer. Does the reader have to know that I'm only a fair golfer? Can I make it seem as if I'm an excellent golfer?
Yes.
I'm going to lie through my teeth about that. And I've had several kids that would make up entire stories. They said to the one that you read, Shirley, they said, write about something that you'll, it was write about a time you helped someone. and the student helped her parents realize that they didn't have to get a divorce. And there were 3 events, and I didn't need the 3 events, but they said that she had her parents go to counseling. She had them start going on dates again. And she said, why are we not going to church? We started going to church again. So she put her faith into the story. And at the end of the story, her parents got together and they gave that paper a 0, everyone.
Oh.
And I was like, why did it get a 0? And they said, oh, it was off topic. But just because the words, a time I helped someone, didn't show up, she helped her parents realize that they didn't have to get a divorce. And so I got to meet her, and they challenged that score, and it moved from a 0 all the way to a 4 because she was responding to the prompt. She just didn't have those exact words. And I said, oh, I was so amazed by your story because my parents got divorced and they didn't get back together. She said, well, mine didn't either, but I just wanted to, I had to be able to help them. I didn't think I was going to be helping them if they were going to go ahead and get a divorce. So I just lied on that part and said that they stayed together after the different things that I did to try and help them. So I thought that was interesting.
Now, when I'm explaining what a narrative is to 4th grade, because I've only taught it 1 year, I've taught 3rd and 5th and 1 of 4th, and now I'm going back to 4th. Would I tell them that they can lie in the beginning, or would I save that for if they are stuck on what to write about?
I would probably, if I'm talking about the 5 W's, if I need some what's, some fillers of what I'm doing, I would say, you know what, you can add a few things. Maybe you've seen a movie where somebody was eating some s'mores, eating some ice cream. Maybe you've never gotten, there's kids that have told me, sir, I've never been to a store. And I'm amazed, but I taught my last 5 years in Colonia, where it was just a group of, a neighborhood of really poor kids who basically their homes were 1-room houses. And I was just shocked at some of the experiences that we get all the time, that I would take my winning teams like out to eat, and some of them had never been to a restaurant before. And so I would probably recommend start with the things that you've experienced, because I want to share with you, just because of what you shared, was that Gina or who said that to me?
Yes, it was me, Gina.
Okay, I want you guys, go to the next page. I think we got the hang of the positive, negative words for a second, because I want to tie in something that you said. Go ahead and go to page 7, everybody, and we're going to underline the word right. We're going to circle personal narrative, nice memory with someone. Now, real quick, Gina, is that positive or is that negative?
That's positive.
Okay, so my kids could either draw the arrow, they could write the word positive, but in this case, I want you to look at the picture. What might accidentally happen, Gina, because the kid is standing at this pool by himself?
He could drown.
True.
He could fall in.
That wouldn't be a nice memory. But look at the second part. What does the second part of the prompt say?
Oh, with someone.
So if they only see themselves in the picture, they might forget to include someone. And so watch what I do, everyone. If I draw a wall right down the middle and I say, oh, I see a nice memory here, but this kid is by himself the whole story, that's a 1-2 paper, because you forgot about the part that you were with someone during the experience. And so you might have to tell the kids, yes, this picture has a kid by himself, but somebody's taking the picture. I don't think he's doing a selfie with a long extension. So real quick, again, and the ones that I sent to you guys are in color. I hope you guys didn't mind that we live in a colorful world, so I wanted to send you personal narrative prompts that were in color, not in black and white. Is that okay with you guys?
Yes.
Okay, so a nice memory, positive, with someone, that means plural. I have to have more than one person. I can have more than 2 people, but at least one person has to be there. Now, real quick, everybody, on your next train, because we want to make sure that we organize this, go ahead and write in your train if you have it, or on a piece of paper, the word PEPE. We are still doing a personal narrative. To save time, I'm just going to put PN. And Gina, what were the key words of the prompt so we can make sure what were the most important words? That you had two phrases. I'm not going to look back. I'm going to see how good your memory is. If not, Andrea or one of the others, Amalia, can steal your points.
It was personal narrative, nice memory with someone.
Okay, I've got the personal narrative part.
Okay.
Story about me.
Nice memory with someone.
Nice memory. So that's forcing them to remember, I've got to make sure that it's nice and that I'm with someone. And here's a couple of things that people have asked me that you guys might ask me. Every second of the story does not have to be the nice memory. That student did not make the choice until 2/3 of the essay was gone. Does that make sense? So when I go back to that story, everybody, the parts that I would underline in green are right here. Watch. It was finally my turn. I'm going to underline this, and if this is just a rough draft, I don't mind writing on their rough draft. All of this part right here is me responding to the prompt. And so even if you can't see it clearly, everyone, that is green. And so this essay cannot get a 0 because a choice is being made, and it doesn't matter if it's a positive or negative choice. In this case, it happens to be a positive choice. So that's why I connect the blue with the green. That's the event, going to the ice cream shop and buying ice cream. And the prompt was choosing which flavor that I was going to buy, and all of that part was me responding to the prompt. So yes, you can teach your kids. Gina, a question that some people ask me, can they address the prompt at the beginning? Yes, you can tweak PEPE to say, okay, here's the prompt, okay? In this story, I'm gonna tell you about a time that I made a choice. That's great, but you're gonna notice that a lot of 3-4 papers don't do that. They arrive at the prompt. So more important than the prompt is the person, I or me, and the place that I'm going to go, okay? So keeping that in mind. Now, you asked me, real quick, everybody, if someone, Shirley, do you have your mic on right now?
Yes, I do now.
Okay, all right. The event, if you can watch me, is just like the what?
The camera.
The camera. And so the event is the picture. In reading, you call that the main idea. And you're going to try and turn that event into an experience, E. And once you turn a picture into an experience, it becomes a video. And I just have to make sure that somewhere in here, something nice is happening, and that I'm not alone, that I'm with someone. Now, we said we were going to make sure we have, that's our plan. And so what I want you guys to think, underneath the word place, you're going to pick a place where something is going to happen, an event that can be a nice memory that also includes another person, okay? So sometimes it's not where you go, the place, it's what you do while you're there that makes your event nice. And sometimes it's the person you're with that makes the event nice. And so you can tweak that, and you just have to make sure, because we want to make sure we have the structure. I've got to make sure if I have C, I have a conclusion, and then I'm going to fix the conventions, and I'm going to fix the content, and that would be the last part. If it's the E, I need the ending, I need the extension, and I'm going to take my paper to the editing and revising emergency room. So what I want you guys to do is go to the next page for a second before you, not the next page, we're going to skip past the remote. And do you remember when I told you guys that a lot of kids that I worked with had very little experiences?
Yes.
I had to do what I called live compositions with some of them. And so this is an entire list of things where, since we can't go on field trips, and this is page 11 for those of you that are watching later, since I can't go on field trips to all these places, I want to try and bring these places to the classroom, either through YouTube or through acting out in the class. And there's a lot of things that I did right there in my class. My favorite one, we did a mock hurricane every single year, where we pretended like a hurricane came and hit our classroom, and we had that experience. Now, that wouldn't be a nice memory, but it would be with someone. So I have to be careful, write about something that happened that you'll never forget. So even though you might not do all of these with your kids and act them out or watch movies about them and have the kids pretend to experience them, you guys, you might have them decide, could this be a positive or a negative prompt? One more thing for kids with limited experiences, I sent you all about 20 of these. It's called picture writing.
It's 7:51.
Thank you, Shirley. All right. Picture writing is where they say, I'm going to have a nice memory. I'm on a boat, that's my place. I go fishing, that's my event. I'm with somebody, and I catch this really big fish. Now, in my opinion, you guys, I don't know if it looks like it to you, but to me, that looks like somebody took a picture of a goldfish and superimposed it on the guy. Is that just my imagination, or is that what it looks like to you guys as well? That's what I thought. Okay.
No,
now,
that's a red drum.
Oh, is it? Is it?
That's
okay.
a red drum.
All right. Everybody go to page 13. We're going to go to one of these places, and everybody unmute yourself on these last 10 minutes. Okay. Could a nice memory take place in school or something that's education related? Yes,
yes.
or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Do I have to be with someone at least at some point?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Raise your real hand if you've ever been to your house before. And that's a silly question. You say, guys, I don't have to go to fancy places. Sometimes nice memories can happen right inside your living room, in your kitchen. So I called this page my brainstorming memory bank of ideas for personal narratives and stories. I kind of adapted it from my expository because sometimes the kids can't think of any ideas. So what I want you guys to do is look through that list and of these places. I want you guys to take a moment and write down, and we'll keep it simple. Let's just use the first, let me see, the first 10. All I want you to do is pick 3. Everybody hold up 3 fingers. All I want to do is pick 3 places where some cool thing could happen in that place while I'm with some person. And so if you're gonna pick 3, it'll be, they can all be at school, they can all be at home, they can all be at your friend's house, it doesn't matter, but try to have a little bit of variety. I want you to pick one place and focus in on one event in that place. Now, the teacher should always go first. I'm going to go to some water. Because I have limited experiences, I'm going to pretend like I do. I'm going to go to the Rio Grande River. That's the river that's closest to me. I'm going to go fishing. I named the place. And my nice memory is going to be, I caught my first big, what did you call that fish? Who was the one that named it for me?
Andrea.
It's a red drum.
I caught my first 30-inch red drum. I haven't even caught a drum that you beat in band. You laugh, so that would get your attention. So my place would be in the water, but I named my water, my river. Do y'all remember the name of my river?
Rio Grande.
The Rio Grande River. Okay. And what event could I do? Fish. Okay. And since my picture had me in a boat, many kids have the experience of fishing off of a pier, off a dock, but I'm going to fish in a boat. That could be the nice memory in itself, but my friend, can't remember who told me, was it you, Andrea, that told me what kind of fish I caught? I didn't even know what. Miss, what's this? Mommy, what's this? So Andrea, you're my mommy for a second. Mommy.
7:55.
Mommy, what kind of fish is this?
It's a red drum, baby.
Okay. Are we gonna keep it? Are you gonna cut it and clean it for me?
Oh yes, that's good eating.
Okay. So
5 minutes warning.
All right. Thank you, guys. Who is with me in this story now?
Your mom.
Very good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My mom. Okay. So that basically gives me the structure. All I need to do now is go back to my train and say, okay, who, what, when, where, why. When did I go? Where did I go? And so what I want you guys to do, since we're down to the 5-minute warning that Shirley was so nice enough, I want each of you to just pick one place. And because I already chose a water-related one, our exit ticket, so to speak, is going to be you guys giving me a GPS location. In other words, if you pick a store, I want to know the name of the store, the name of the restaurant, the name, and you can pick river if you want, but I want to know the name of the place. I want to know the event. And I caught a red drum is going to be my nice memory that my mom ends up cleaning up for me. So that's the basic structure. And what I'll do with you guys, I'll on my next video, as part of moving to the body, I'm going to show you what my who, what, when, where, why, and whether looks like in the outline form. And then I'll show you what it looks like in a rough draft form. That way you can see the introduction, and you'll also see me do the structure for the body as an outline and a rough draft form that we can turn into a final copy. So our exit tickets are you guys just telling me with your mouth. Stop sharing for a second. I have the Q&A there. You can either do it with your mouth, you can talk to me, or you can just think, where's the place? Because we're already at, let me double check. Yes, Shirley is correct. 3-minute warning. Our exit ticket is tell me your place, what event, and again, GPS if you can on the place. What is the event that's going to happen in that place? And how are you going to be able to respond to the prompt? Who are you going to be with that has some memory take place either during, before, or after the event? And that's what I want to hear from you guys that are still with me. So Shirley, you're my student of the day like always, so if you don't mind, if you could, I think I have you all ready to talk. Shirley, where are you going to go? What's your event going to be? And how is it going to become a nice memory, and who are you going to be with?
I will be with Maya.
Okay. Which place did you decide to go?
We're going shopping.
Okay. All right. So name your store. You can only go to one store because I don't want to hear about the entire mall experience. So whichever whichever store is going to give you that big special memory, because apparently, are you one of those I look only or I actually buy?
Oh, I buy.
We buy.
Yeah. Amalia, you're going to be doing the buying for her.
No, I do my buying.
Okay. So Shirley, tell me the name of the store, because it's your store. You get to choose the name of the store. I'm going to write it in. You won't be able to see it because I just want you guys to listen
I know what she's gonna say.
To each other. What's the?
She does know. Mardell's.
Mardell's. Okay. So it's capital Mardell. I'm going to ask you, Shirley, is it apostrophe S or S apostrophe?
Apostrophe S.
Okay. So I'm going to go to Mardell's. Okay. And you are going to shop. Do you have something specific you're going to be shopping for? Because the more specific you can be, the better.
Back to school items.
Okay.
Yep.
Back to school. Is that a very expensive place? If you don't mind sharing with me, I've never heard of it.
No, we go when it's on sale.
It's
Okay.
a very nice place.
Back to school, and I'm going to even write that it's on sale. And do you get excited, Shirley and Amalia, when things are on sale?
Yes.
Okay. Should you tell the reader your excitement or show them by the way that you act?
Show them with your actions.
Okay. So Shirley, I want you to look over at Amalia in your mind. I just saw her the second she entered the store. She threw herself on the floor and started spinning in circles. That's
wow.
her. Yeah. And I'm just making it up because I don't know Amalia, but I'm just curious. What do you think Amalia would do because she's so excited?
Grab more items off the shelf.
Amalia was like an octopus. She was grabbing more things than she could even afford in an entire lifetime in 10 seconds. Amalia, can you imagine yourself possibly doing that?
Yes.
Okay. Andrea and Gina are my other partners that stayed to the end. So Andrea, can you hear me?
Yes.
And Gina, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. You guys can either do something together because Amalia and kind of Shirley, they kind of piggybacked on each other. Andrea, did you think of a place that you could go where you could have an event where something, a special memory? Now, the word nice, you guys, is subjective. I had a teacher tell one of my children, that's not a nice memory. And he wrote about a personal experience that he had with his mom that to him was a positive experience. And I was like, who are you to tell my son that wasn't a nice memory? She goes, that's too boring. That's too blah. But I've taught my son how to turn blah to blame by making the experience more exciting, because all of you have eaten ice cream before, but Shirley, you said this is a good essay. It's because of the way that the student wrote the essay that made the experience more interesting. That hopefully that makes sense. So Andrea, your place, your event, the person you're with, and what makes the memory nice.
Okay, I went to an office supply store.
Okay, do you have the name of one that you could GPS for me?
Yes.
Make it proper noun.
Staples.
Okay.
And I needed a new laptop. Oh. And they were on sale.
Okay. And is that the special memory part that they were on sale?
Yes.
Okay. Everybody raise 5 fingers for a second. If my entire essay lasts 5 sentences right now, your goal is not to turn that 1-2 paper into a 4. You're not Jesus. Add a sentence. Add 2 sentences and say, we have only got 3 or 4 essays for personal narratives, maybe, or 6 weeks or 2 6 weeks, because hopefully you all are going to be getting to expository sooner than later, if that makes sense. Okay, Gina, did I save the best for last?
No.
I hope so.
Mine is not that interesting.
That's subjective. So you can make anything bling by the way that you tell the story. Now, before Gina, we're going to close it with a couple of Q&As in a little bit, but before I'm going to allow Gina some time to bling her ideas a little bit. My last year of teaching, they threw a pre-K classroom next to us in the 4th grade wing. And they told our 4th graders, do not go to the restroom by yourself. You have to go as a class. And my kids were like, sir, but what if we have to go really bad? I'm like, well, we're going to go every couple of hours as a class because the principal does not trust you to be in the restroom place because they feel like you're going to torture or do something inappropriate to those poor little children that are only 4 years old. Well, one of my students had to go so badly, write about a memory that you'll never forget. It could be positive or negative. The student says, Mr. MacDonald, I've got to go. And he was doing all the actions that you could tell he needs to go. It was on his face. So I said, go quickly and come back. So he comes back in like a minute. Mr. MacDonald, there's a pre-K kidder in there. I said, yes, remember, we're sharing. No, sir, he's doing number 2. And I said, sweetheart, you did number 2 when you were 4. No, sir, he's trying to do number 2 in the urinal.
Ooh. Oh, gosh.
And so, guys, my brain said, I'm able to infer, draw conclusions that that child who's 4 years old had never been to a public restroom before, except with who? Probably his own mother, because he didn't know that you can't pull down your pants. And I'm sorry for the inappropriateness, but that's what I went in and saw him trying to do number 2. We were supposed to do number 1. And so my memory that I'll never forget is the day that I had to show a kid how to go to the restroom sitting down as a little boy. And I did not sign up for that's why I teach 4th grade, so I don't have to teach stuff like that. So Gina,
hey, at least it wasn't the floor.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, because that has happened to me. So
my student,
our 5th grader was pooping on the floor.
We had that happen last year in 5th grade.
I hope it was an accident.
No.
No, they were smearing it all over the walls too.
That's
not just one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is the oldest grade level at y'all's school 5th grade?
Yes.
Yes.
Nobody in our school wanted duty, because duty in the 5th grade wing was like doo-doo. They had no respect for authority. And then my worry is it's going to be the same thing when school starts, that they're going to be so used to living life however they want. Mom and dad let them get away with stuff. And so who knows what's going to happen. So Gina, drum roll, please, everybody. Drum roll on something that you guys can roll. We gave her lots of time to think about it, to concentrate on some bling experience. So Gina, what GPS location are you going to go to for your story?
The San Antonio Zoo.
Great. Is that what it's named?
Yes.
How creative, right? They named it after this. All right. Now you can only focus on not every animal, not any show, not any game that you played or anything you bought. You're going to zoom in on one specific experience. If you could zoom in, what would be the 10 minutes of that 3-hour trip that would be your bling, that would be the nicest memory that I could, as a teacher or as a group or as a partner, help you explode that event? Which one would you talk about?
The event that was actually about 10 minutes was waiting in line for the drive-through zoo experience.
Oh, I know that there's one north of San Antonio, and you guys are going to probably hate me after this, but I thought it would be so hilarious to take my family on that, and I think it's somewhere in New Braunfels where there's a cavern.
Yes, it's the wildlife zoo, and I actually was going to choose that location too, but I didn't.
Well, please don't hate me, girls, but I decided that when this ostrich came up to the window to ask for some food, I would roll down my wife's window all the way and lock it in the open position.
And they bite your fingernails off.
So the animal stuck its head all the way in. It was literally like almost attacking the bag. It wasn't thankfully attacking my wife, because then I would have felt bad, but it was attacking the bag of food. So my wife just kind of threw it out, and she was like, "Bill, roll up the window." So we can make sure that there's a little bit of humor in there, but if it says nice memory, I can't be focusing on that mean Bill MacDonald that did those naughty things. I can't focus on kids throwing poop on the wall. I have to focus on the positive. Oh, I helped somebody learn how to use the restroom. A memory that I have that I'll never forget, and I can make sure I help my kids tie their experiences. So Gina, what was it that made the wait in the line? Because I hate waiting for everything. Why would waiting
The zoo, when the city of San Antonio went kind of on a lockdown situation, or quarantining, not lockdown, bad choice of words. The zoo was in a lot of trouble financially because no one was going to the zoo. And so they offered this drive-through zoo. And it was my son's 10th birthday. And we decided to take him to that because we were being really diligent about, you know, social distancing and only going to the HEB or whatever.
What high word choice did you just use there, Gina? You were being very what? Diligent.
Diligent, yeah.
You didn't have to do that, but you just got extra credit. So if I was using that monkey strategy that I shared with you guys once, if I give you a sentence for that one little blue monkey, I would give you a green one, another green monkey, or blue monkey, because of the word diligence, using higher vocabulary in the sentence that you have there. So basically, guys, that's from my point of view, personal narrative, the brainstorming, the planning, and I'll show you in my video how the introduction looks like in outline form and in rough draft form. I just want to make sure, go ahead, and if you have questions, go ahead, and we have Shirley. There's 4 of you that stayed till the end out of the group. Shirley, I'll just take you one at a time. Shirley, did you have any questions that you had for me, things that you want me to make sure that I include when I'm going to show an outline of the body. I'm going to show you the outline and rough draft of the introduction. And on the next video, I'll be showing the one for the conclusion. Did you have any questions or things that you wanted to see a little bit more? Okay. Amalia, did you have any questions or?
None.
Okay.
No questions.
All right. Let's see. Andrea, how about you? Are you good to go?
Yes, I'm good to go.
All right. And Gina, you had asked me a question. I think it was you, Gina. You said, what do you do when, and I wanted to address that issue.
I asked you a question. Oh, do you mean on Facebook?
No,
okay.
during this training, and I said, oh, let's go to this page. And I was going to address your question, and I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
And I'll look back through the video, but I had the answer to your question. Well, I think you said, can the students do something? Or was it something about making up parts of it or something like that?
Oh, when do I tell them to say it's okay to make it up? Like, I don't want to start with that because then I feel like I'm going to have a class full of made up stories.
Yeah. So in the alphabet, the word real will be found before realistic because real by itself. So teach them to stick to real. That way you can have something to work with, because when you ask them the who, what, when, where, why questions, the whether, the thoughts, the opinions, if they made it up, they're going to say, I don't know, I made it up. So even if it's like I shared with you on that page, if it's something at their house, I can get if that kid can get a 4 at an ice cream shop, then your kids can get a 4 in their home or at school, having nice memories, as long as they make sure that they're with somebody having that memory. So that was what I was going to say, Gina. Just make sure real comes before realistic as much as possible, so that when you ask the questions that are there's going to be lots of gaps in the quality of their writing. So the first time, may the ones be with you. The second time, may the what, everybody? May the twos. The third time they write, may the threes. And then hopefully may some 4s be with some of those kids that will actually listen and implement and apply the strategies that you share with them. So I just want to make sure, Gina, you didn't have any questions either.
I just want, so for the next time, or if you can address it at another time, I am concerned about, I teach my students how to write it by parts, right? So first we're going to focus on the introduction. How am I going to teach them? Where and how are they going to revise via a computer? Because in the classroom, we do a draft booklet. And when we're done with the flash draft of the booklet, we take it apart. And then we tape it in 4 sections. And so we tape it like on a long piece of manila or construction paper. And so we do a lot of our revising along the edges. And so I'm going to have students with me for a very long time virtually that have limited supplies And so I know they're going to have paper. I'll take them the paper. I just don't know how to teach them how to revise virtually. That's my concern.
Okay, what I'm going to recommend is that like I can at any time make any of you guys where all of you can be seen and what you show me can be seen. You don't necessarily have to take them the paper because notebook paper has anywhere between 26 and 29 lines, depending on if it's college rule or what's the other one, standard regular notebook paper. So they can't use that excuse if I don't have paper, because even if you don't go to their houses and deliver paper, you can use regular wide ruled paper, but just tell them this: ignore the second red line.
Right. I remember you saying that, because in the star paper doesn't have that.
Yeah, unless you're going to say, I want you to stay for the purposes of today, stay inside the red lines so that you can make annotations on the outside, or because as we as a class look at your paper, we're going to give you suggestions. And I want you guys, if you can, I'm going to just show you something because it's a very important concept, and I'll leave it with that because my friend Shirley said to cut it off, buckwheat. The rough draft, I really suggest Gina and you guys make sure they number the lines, whether they use this paper that's in the binder or they number their rough draft numbers and tell them this is only for the rough draft, not for your final copy. So if they're doing their introduction only, you would tell them, I don't know your ability level yet, but we're going to be keeping introductions anywhere between 2 to 5 lines. If I have a 4th grader on a 2nd grade ability level, they might only be able to fill 2 lines, if that makes sense. And so you can tell them, since we're only working on the introduction, then try to make sure that your who, what, when, where, why, whether is done by the time you get to the introduction. And if you're going to add the prompt, you can use the word words or the words of the prompt mentioned here, because some of you get scared that the kids will never ever get to the prompt. And so one of the W you can use is words. What are the prompt words? If I want to make sure I say something about a choice where I had to pick some ice cream, I don't have to say choose ice cream, I can say pick, but I would recommend you guys that you use that and say, okay, on the lines below, we can make suggestions. For example, if the student makes a mistake on line 1, the class can tell him, I see a capitalization mistake on line 1. I see a punctuation mistake. You might want to change this word. If you're changing content, you're changing a word or a transition, or take out the 3rd sentence because it's repetitious. And so that would be, make sure that everybody can see everybody's work. How, I'm just curious, how do you guys, how do the students show you their work, like visually? Can you see their work like you're seeing mine? Is the camera shared both directions?
No, and it can be a difficult task. So, but now that I'm going to be on them for a good portion of the day, I can have them show it to me, and I can take a picture. They can take a picture and put it in their dojo portfolio. That works pretty good for us in the spring. So it's difficult for students who aren't going to have parent support with them. And even if they do, it's going to be difficult for my students to take a picture, download it, and upload it into the Google Classroom, where they can just get their parent's phone, take a picture, and send it to me on Dojo. That works well for us.
Yeah, so for all of you, I would suggest, if you can't, if you're a little bit worried still about.
We're using Seesaw, and Seesaw has a document where they can go in and type it in as well. And it also has a camera where it'll save it. They can upload it to on Seesaw.
Yeah, my only worry about if you're going to be doing your actual writing test on paper.
Yeah, I want them to write on paper, not.
Somehow you guys have to get them to the point where they're writing on paper, and then, like you said, taking a picture of it somehow and getting it to you in some way, shape, or form. You know, that's why I have, like in Zoom, I like that I can show you my document camera, which you're seeing now. I can show you my actual document on my computer and the PDFs of it. I'm a little bit worried about if it's only being typed, The good thing about that is your kids are so good at video games. They spend a lot of time on laptops that are based on video games.
Well, this paper that you have up now, I put it into a CAMI document. So I was thinking to make sure that we don't lose the paper and pen skills or pencil skills, to have them draft, revise, and edit completely on paper. And then maybe choose one of their favorite narratives to go in and type in the CAMI.
Yeah, and I would suggest you guys save everything they do from the very beginning, even if it's a personal narrative, because remember, like I said, that you can say, even though I started my year writing a personal narrative, I'm trying to go to that personal narrative that we looked at, you can remind them that sometimes when you're explaining, you can explain yourself based on your actual experiences, because all of these are expository prompts on the bottom here. And so they can build this what I called here at the bottom an expository bank, and say, use some of your personal narrative experiences that you shared with me as examples that can help you explain when you're doing expository. And I'll be showing you guys how to do that in webinar number 2. So
okay.
Just get to paper and pencil as much as possible, because this is the last year for Star Ladies and the state. I don't see them telling every single one of us, just because of this virus, that we're going to go all, I just can't imagine it being all online testing. If they decide to do that, they need to tell you guys from the very beginning of the year, so that you can be preparing your students for that, so they don't get overwhelmed. I hate it when the state has, like in 9th grade, I'll just close with this thought. In 9th grade, they told the teachers in October there's not going to be short answer this year. And they had spent August, September, and October writing short answer responses. That doesn't make sense to me, to wait 3 months to tell teachers that something's going to happen. So I hope that they tell you guys, if they're going to make some changes on this last year, it doesn't make sense that they would do that. If they're going to force you guys to do all online because of some virus getting worse, they need to tell you guys from the very beginning, or as soon as possible, so you guys can start preparing your kids to write expository essays online in the way that they're going to be doing it on the test, if that makes sense. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for attending on are y'all having to report back to duty pretty soon?
I go back on
Monday. Gina, when do you guys start?
Monday.
Well, enjoy what is today.
We're on the 25th.
Today's Thursday.
I go back on Monday. Students will be, I'll have to teach in my classroom by myself virtually. I go back Monday the 10th. Students will be with me starting the 17th.
One of my friends who does really well in writing, she uses my expository lesson plan. She was telling me last night that they gave the kids an option. So about 40 of their students are going to attend in person once they're allowed to, and about 60 of their students are going to attend virtually. And so the teachers.
Yeah, that's where my school is at. But I will be virtual. She told me this. My administrator told me this week I'll be virtual for the entire time that students choose to be. So I don't foresee having students in front of me this year.
And Amalia and Shirley and Andrea, do you guys know if you're going to be virtual or?
We're all starting virtual on September 8th.
Okay. And
the first 4 weeks are virtual, and then after that, the parents choose. And we may have some that are in front of us and some that are virtual. We don't know yet.
Well, as you guys can tell, you know, I've done my best, and I really appreciate your patience with me. It's very hard. The bill that you see in person is going to be completely different than the bill that you see here on the screen. And I just really admire you guys. I respect you guys, and I have you guys on a pedestal. What I'm going to do every single day, like you might have seen, I'm going to be posting daily little mini videos that are going to be really student directed on my expository lesson plans for you guys. So there'll already be several in place by the time you guys start teaching expository. And I'm even going to be using the Dare Doc Binder, little 5 to 20, 30-minute videos max. And I'll be as if I'm talking to your students that way through YouTube. I don't know if they let you guys use YouTube as a source or not.
Yeah, they do.
Okay. I don't put it in Facebook. I have it in YouTube and in Facebook so that you can pick and choose that. You know what? I'm going to let Mr. MacDonald do the lesson this time and you guys follow along, and then you'll have the binders already so you can use anything in there that you'd like. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
God bless you guys. Take care. And I'm going to end and stop recording. God bless you guys. Enjoy your last 3 days of peace and the peace and the calm before the storm. God bless.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.